Okay, we just submitted our digital paintings, which means we just finished Unit 14. Part of Unit 14 was question of the day number 4, talking about artificial intelligence, validity, and authorship, the challenges of digital art versus traditional art. And now all we have left are Units 15 and 16. Unit 15 is our final project. Unit 16 is how, as a class, you'll critique those final projects for the last 10 points of the class. So 10 points out of 100 points, that's 10% of the grade. Scored like your midterm critique portfolios based on a class critique. So this is the theme of your final project. There are not mistakes, only lessons. This project is a little different because along with the artwork, where you can use any digital techniques you like, we'll review the basics. You can combine them, but you're also going to turn in a one-page description. You're actually going to print an artist statement for the project that has your name, the title of the piece, and whatever you want to tell us about the piece. It can't be more than a page. It doesn't need to fill a page, right? And that's going to be posted alongside your print so we understand the idea behind it and what you want us to get from the art object. Just like when you hang something in a museum and it has a little explanation with it. The artist, the title, the explanation. The most important thing to remember is these 10 points, which is the largest single grade of the semester, are not awarded by me, right? I get no say in them whatsoever. Instead, they're awarded by the full class critique and then averaging out group critique scores for your piece. We practice this with the midterm critique. The biggest tip I have, and Proving Ground 4 is going to help us with this, is that you do something that's important to you, something that you want for your finished portfolio. This is a piece that you'll need to print. So you want to invest your interests into it. You don't want a project that you don't care about, so that when you get it back after the critique, you don't keep it for your portfolio. So you want this one to be the one that really showcases your skills and your point of view. So here are some examples of how this is the most like a professional digital creative assignment we've done so far. I give you a topic. There are not mistakes, only lessons. Pretend that is the theme for a gallery show. And I am the curator, and I'm inviting you to create a submission. And it's got to be using digital art. It's a digital art gallery. But this is the theme that everyone's going to be working within. That's the umbrella. You have to come up with your own approach. So just like when Akiko, who we've looked at before for poster design, is tasked with a client to do like a poster for a movie, and she has a title of the movie. This was the Spike Lee film, Da 5 Bloods, and she gets some information about the movie. She doesn't get to see the final movie, right? Because usually this production art is happening while the movie's being finished. So the first step is rough thumbnailing. So this is how Akiko's process works. Thinking of some visual metaphors to relate to what she wants to say about the movie. In this case, combining kind of a black power fist icon with the silhouette of a soldier. You can see the rough thumbnail for that. She did some other plays with the power fist. She played with kind of puppetry imagery. But eventually, this was the approach she refined into the finished project. For each of these, she looked at some reference images from Vietnam posters, from art history. So all of this goes into what became her final poster. And you can read about her process from her website. Oh, but she's hasn't updated that page on her website. So I have these other process examples we can look at. This was for a Godzilla poster, right? That was featured or sponsored by Toho, the producers of all the Japanese Godzilla films. They wanted a glow-in-the-dark poster. So starts with thumbnail sketches, right? They really wanted it to be this kind of hard-edged, almost heavy metal-inspired Godzilla poster. So these were the concept sketches. Here was the inspiration from comics, from past movie posters, photo reference, and then just starting on the process. This is layering up, because it's going to be a silk screen with different layers in Photoshop. And then designing the type to go with it, and doing that as a vector, and then combining those raster and vector images into the final poster. And then that digital file gets turned into film work for screen printing, because this was done, I believe, for Mondo in Austin. And then they print with the limited colors. You can see the half toning there to blend them. And that's how it turned out. Right? And then it was collected. Another process example, just showing how, and they have not updated their site. Another process example. That's why Behance is great, because these artists don't like to keep paying for their server space. So this gets graded by your fellow class members on idea, execution, effort, and pizzazz, right? But everyone's going to have your own approach. So unlike all our other assignments and exercises, the idea behind it is going to be your own take on that theme. The execution of it is going to be your own choice of digital methodology. Whether you use compositing, raster, vector, whether you combine them all together, whether you use digital coloring, digital painting, whether you combine them all together, whether you animate or not, whether you do sequence of images or not. All of that's up to you. In order to understand this, we are going to work through what's called the concept project workflow, right? And I know those in social media and digital marketing do something similar, where you kind of test your ideas and get input on them along the way. So this is a concept project workflow that I am going to talk you through. The first is problem definition. You have to create your own assignment, right? Underneath that theme of there are not mistakes, only lessons. And then brainstorming, collecting information, reference, figuring out your workflow, how you're going to create the piece using digital techniques, and then how you're going to present the piece, what size you're going to print it, if you're going to mat it, how you write your art statement to go with it. And that all yields the end product. And that end product is what gets hung in the gallery on our final class day, which is a week from Wednesday. So we have a week and a half to finish this off. All right. So how do we go about it? Unit 15. All right, so that's the overview. The first step is proving ground number 4. So proving ground number 4 is going to take us through this iterative process. It's the last requirement of your creative problem solving badge. It's using a process to test your ideas where you repeat certain things. And so the whole point is to generate the best possible original idea in support of your final concept. So your final concept assignment means it's based on your idea. So step 1, and you can do this, I would just do this usually in a sketchbook, but you can just do this on scratch paper. I recommend you usually write it by hand rather than typing it so you can make edits. But you're going to write a statement summary. You're just going to write one sentence that describes your idea. What is your take on the theme? And I'll open up the project and the theme here. If you just go to assignments, you'll have kind of a shortcut to it. Scroll down. This is assignment 8. I'll have to trim some of those process examples that aren't working anymore. But what's most important, let's see, here we go, is knowing what the theme is for the semester. So there are not mistakes, only lessons. If you open that link, I take you to a Behance page where there's an artist that did similar, this would be their take on it, right? They did these kind of text and imagery-based posters. You either win or you learn. A quote from Nelson Mandela. Failure is not the opposite of success, it's part of success. Ariana Huffington. You know, that was their take on this theme. So it's not like you need to use the words of the theme in your project. You don't need to use words in your project at all. You just have to interpret it. Here's another artist interpretation that might be from this theme, you know, using Bob Ross and his quote, "We don't make mistakes, only happy accidents." Right? So there's a lot of kind of inspiration images here. And you could see almost how any of these could work with this theme. Whether it's about voting, whether it's about social justice, whether it's about, you know, social media and the harm it's doing to body image issues for teenage girls, whatever it might be, censorship, right? You could take this theme in any direction you like. So that's the hard part. The first thing you need to do is to figure out what's important for you to comment on, to talk about, or what kind of imagery is it most interesting for you to make. So that's the theme. I'll write it up on the board. The first step for proving ground 4, which is what we're starting today, is to try to make a sentence. So if the theme is there are not mistakes, only lessons, right? One example might be that a student really wants to use memes, really likes memes, and wants to do memes in and around cancel culture, which have persisted for a while. Cancel culture is the fear that if you say something wrong, you'll get fired and especially like kind of banned on social media.
Yeah, I don't think that's
right. It used to be called like political correctness. There's just lots of things around this, right? So this student was interested in using the imagery of memes and to satirize this idea of cancel culture and the need to, in their words, politicize every bleeping thing, no matter how obvious or important. Right? So that was their sentence. That becomes what their art needs to be about, right? You're writing your own assignment here. How does it fit into there are no mistakes, only lessons, right? That's for that artist to know and to help explain in their artist statement. So then, once they've written that statement summary, and here's a little link to how to write a statement summary. This is helpful for any creative project. But it's just you're writing the synopsis of your idea. You're just trying to boil it all down to one thing. And I'm not going to be demonstrating this project for you because everyone's going to have a different approach. Instead, I'm going to be individually helping you with them and doing individual critiques. So once you have your sentence, the next step is you need to brainstorm and acknowledge the cliche ways to deal with that idea, right? So the cliche way to deal with that idea for this student was to kind of research and list the most common memes that relate to this. And then he just did 3 thumbnail sketches changing those memes towards his own idea. So just like Akiko had done several different sketches for the movie poster that each pushed the idea in a different direction, that is what your thumbnail sketches should do. They should be 3 different solutions for that one statement summary.